Hey guys, Drifter here. Welcome to Titanfall In Depth. In today's episode, we're going to be reviewing the Spitfire LMG. The gameplay that you're going to get to see is, of course, me using this weapon on one map in particular. I do really good in the beginning, a little bit dumpy in the middle, and I pick it back up again toward the end. Instead of starting off with the damage today, we're going to start off with a little bit something different. We're going to talk about ADS time on this weapon. The normal aim down sights time for the Spitfire LMG is 0.7 seconds. However, when you put the Hcog sight on it, it drops to 0.2 seconds. It saves you a whole half second in aiming down sights, which is colossal. Now, that only works for the Hcog sight. It doesn't work for the hollow sight, and it doesn't work for the Hcog sight. Only the Hcog, which is why I run it on this weapon, but it is a massive savings. You have to kill 50 grunts to get it, but it's absolutely worth doing it if you plan to use this weapon. The damage is 70 to 45, depending on how close you are to the enemy. 70 up close, 45 at a distance. What that means for you is that since Titanfall pilots have 200 health, it'll kill in between 3 and 5 shots, just kind of depending. If you get headshots, of course, that does kill them faster. However, the range is somewhat unimpressive. The 3-shot kill range is only 22 meters, which is not very far in Titanfall. It's kind of low range, and to put this in perspective, even the R101C that has overall lower damage has a longer 4-shot kill range than this weapon. It actually has a better medium range than a light machine gun, which is kind of weird, and I think that's probably the biggest downside to this weapon, with the exception of the next downside, a very slow rate of fire of 540 RPM. This is just not very fast. To compare to a game that we're all familiar with, Call of Duty Battlefield, pistols in Call of Duty and Battlefield usually have this as the maximum fire cap, so it is firing very, very slowly because of the somewhat low range and the low rate of fire. Time to kill is overall very slow. This is not a fast time to kill weapon. The only time this can be considered a fast time to kill weapon is in very close quarters combat, when you don't miss any shots at all or you get headshots. None of these are super probable. I mean, I guess even if you were really good up in their face, it could have a fast time to kill, but my overall experience has been a slower time to kill. On that note, before we move into things like accuracy and some other components, I would like to note that this weapon plays very differently on PC than it does the console. On console, it is more difficult to correct your aim than it is on PC. We all know that the Master Race PC overlords have their mouse aim, and they can aim better than us, peasants on our peasant boxes and that sort of thing, but the overall effect should be the same. Even on PC, this should not be as competitive as the R101C and the car and that sort of thing. The reload time is slow at approximately 3 seconds. It'll do a little bit faster or a little bit slower depending on if you have a full magazine that you're reloading or not. That one bullet in the chamber does add up over time. To the Spitfire's benefit, the ADS cone and hipfire cone are essentially the same as other guns. Like Battlefield, your bullets aren't always going exactly where you're aiming down sights because they're not quite hit scans, or they don't project like they do in Call of Duty. You actually have something of a cone to simulate moving your gun a little bit, or it's shaking, and your bullets actually can go a little bit sideways, but again, the cones for both hipfire and ADS fire are essentially the same. There's no big penalties there, so it's going to handle very normally. However, I found that this weapon has sights that shake more than the other weapons in Titanfall, and there's also a big aim down sights cone penalty for mid-air shots. Mid-air shots are only half as accurate as when you're standing on the ground, which does make sense, but it's a pretty big penalty for this weapon, and I find it to be overall low accuracy on console. But like I said before, the PC Master Race gaming gods have told me that it handles very, very differently on PC. That's just not my experiences with it. Where this weapon really shines is that it has one of the highest RODEO damages. So it's kind of funny that this game has a certain amount of damage that you do to pilots, it has a certain amount of damage that you do to Titans if you just shoot them with the weapon, and it has a different amount of damage if you rodeo them. Now, the damage that you do while rodeoing is higher than just shooting them while on the ground, and it can vary wildly from gun. This one has one of the highest RODEO damages and probably the highest damage per second for RODEO. It's even higher with the slammer. I have been using the slammer in this gameplay, and I've been making it a point to jump on their back and I guess slam them. I'm thinking like I'm playing Pogs here, but it is one of the fastest, or I'll say the highest DPS, damage per second output weapon when rodeoing somebody. You really don't even need your anti-Titan weapon when you do this. You can just rodeo the absolute devil out of Titans and shred them. It's very very, very effective at that. So for that reason, I recommend using this weapon with two specific attachments. Hcog is just a no-brainer. The Hcog sight is probably the easiest one to use. It has the least amount of shake on it, and it allows you to aim down sights, 3-4 times faster. It cuts a whole half second off your ADS time. That is definitely the way to go. And I also run Slammer because I find that to be much more useful than Silencer, which marks my damage and sends my time to kill back into oblivion. I find it to be more useful than Extended Mags, which I don't need because I have plenty of bullets anyway. It just helps me murder Titans super fast. I can sometimes kill them before the pilots even think about ejecting, which is really cool. And I always use it with STIM. Since I'm not using silence, I'm always on the radar, and the metagame for this has changed to be more of a stealthy attack and run away and not like a a parkour duel in the air sort of thing. And STIM keeps me alive. I'm able to shoot pilots, I'm able to trade longer, it allows me to hang in there with that slow time to kill and escape and recover and that sort of thing. It's very useful for me, and that's how I recommend that you use this weapon. However, I overall recommend that you don't use this weapon very often. This is not a go-to weapon, this is not an every game, every map weapon, this is more of a specialty weapon. It's not even that great at killing pilots or grunts. It's really best just at slaughtering Titans. If you have a lot of Titans you need to kill, or if people really like to group up in hallways and you just have to hose, this is the weapon to go to. Otherwise, I believe that the CAR, the R97, and the R101C are generally much better weapons. And that's all for this episode of Titanfall in Depth. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, subscribe, follow me on Twitter. You can check out the previous episode and the next episode. They're both there. You can click the boxes. It'll take you to them when they're live. And as always, I hope you enjoyed it. Drifter out.